Patriots, look, it was a brutal game. That game stunk. It sucked. It blew. 15-10 final score. You had missed field goals. You had a bad field goal snap. You had tons of flags. The two teams were combined 6 for 24 on third down. Ugly. Let's get to Alex Van Pelt. I've been waiting for 47 minutes and 27 seconds to get to this point. I ripped Van Pelt last week. I'm going to rip him again this week, if not being even more harsh towards him. Alex Van Pelt sucked yesterday, much like he sucked against San Francisco. And some of the decisions by Van Pelt are inexcusable. They're unreasonable, borderline irresponsible. He has been brutal. There's no other way to put it. I gave him the benefit of the doubt because it had been 15 years since he called plays on a weekly basis for the 2009 Buffalo Bills. I gave him the benefit of the doubt to see if he can prove himself as good or terrible. And right now, I don't know how anybody watching this or listening to this, I don't know how any of you, because I certainly don't, I don't know how you could trust Alex Van Pelt to make the right play calls and run this offense correctly after what we have seen, especially the last 2 weeks. His situational play calling could not be worse. It is god-awful. And yes, Elliott Wolf, who hired Van Pelt, deserves all the criticism as well. If this doesn't turn around and Van Pelt is this bad the remainder of the year, it is obviously on Van Pelt, and it's also on Elliott Wolf and how they ran this operation. I'm not telling you they could go out and get Zach Robinson or some of those other sexy names, but if AVP is this bad, then it doesn't matter. There was somebody out there that was better. And maybe you should have just hired Ben McAdoo for the gig and seen how he did. Alex Van Pelt, 12-yard line. You're on the 12-yard line with 3 timeouts left. You got all 3 of your timeouts. You're on the Miami 12-yard line. 1:13 left in the game. And Van Pelt doesn't run the football once. That alone, honestly, is a fireable offense. Now, I'm going to give him a shot because, again, it's 5 weeks in. But that series of play calling, 1:13 left, you have 3 timeouts, you're down by 5, you're at the opponent 12-yard line. There is absolutely zero reason to not run the football at least once, if not twice, in that situation. It's mind-boggling that anybody at the NFL level would call 4 straight passes. Now, I get it. Once you call a pass on first and second down, now you're stuck. You could still run on third down because, get this, it was 1st and 10. You're at the 12. You could still get a first down. You didn't have to get in the end zone, Alex. All you need is 10 yards. Get a first down. Then you're 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. With all 3 of your timeouts, to throw pass was a ridiculous decision. And there's absolutely no reason to do that. There's no excuse to do that. And Alex Van Pelt should have walked into that locker room yesterday after that game and told everybody on that football team, I effed up. That's on me. My freaking goodness. Brutal. When you ran the football, you were successful all day. When you threw the football, you were not successful. But there you are. There you are. 1st and 10 from Miami's 12-yard line, 1:13 left, all 3 timeouts, pass. Swell job, Alex. Going into the game, we talked about the ability of Antonio Gibson could cause some issues running up the middle, that there was a little bit of softness on that Miami defensive line against the run at times against Tennessee. Well, Van Pelt, they ran the football 7 times in the first half. What is this team's identity? I ask you, throw a comment in. What do you think this team's identity is? Because all offseason and all camp, we were told we're going to run the football. We're going to be a run-first team. That is going to be our identity. Everything offensively that we do will be based off the run. What happened to that? 7 first-half runs from your running backs yesterday? What happened to that identity that you supposedly had? Antonio Gibson had 1 carry the entire first half. 1 carry. He had 6 carries the entire game. He averaged 8.7 yards per carry. Now, riddle me this. You have a running back who's averaging almost 9 yards a carry. Don't you think you should give him the football more than 6 total times? What are we doing? He had 1 target in the pass game. Gibson is one of your better pass catchers. He's fantastic receiving running back. He's supposed to be this team's James White or a knockoff of James White. And you're not throwing him the football. You're not lining him up in the slot. You're not lining him up outside. What was the game plan? 34 pass attempts for 160 yards. The Patriots averaged 4.7 yards per pass attempt. 4.7. Yet they called 34 pass attempts. They averaged 7.8 yards per carry, but yet they called 18 runs. So you called 18 runs and you got 141 yards out of it. You called 34 passes and you got 160 yards out of it. I don't know if your running game is that much more efficient and you've been that much better on the ground. Why are you calling for almost twice as many passes? FFS. I try not to swear, but FFS. Terry Grant coming in. Thank you so much, Terry, with the $50 super chat. My goodness, Terry. Generosity. Continues to support this program. Just a big-time super chat. Thank you so much, Terry. Enjoy Virginia Beach. #FireAVP. Yeah, I'm heading down tomorrow. Start the drive tomorrow with the wife and the dog. That'll be fun. Down at Virginia Beach. Hopefully, we're down there by Wednesday morning. And hopefully, I'm able to get the podcast live on Wednesday. If not, I'll certainly record something for all of you. So thank you, Terry, so much for that 50. So 34 pass attempts, 18 runs, even though you're running the ball a hell of a lot better than you're throwing the football. Why you would do that? Well, the only answer is because your offensive coordinator sucks. It's the only reason. Matt Doloff, 98.5 The Sports Up posted, the Patriots had the 6th highest pass play percentage in the league in week 5 so far, 65.5%. The Patriots, if you were wondering, they passed more than 71% of the time on their first fourth quarter drive, trying to protect a 10-9 lead. So they had a 10-9 lead heading into the fourth quarter. Their first fourth quarter drive, they threw the football more than 71% of the time, even though they had been much better at running the football than throwing the football. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Alex Van Pelt. It's mindless. It's mindless. Gerard Mayo, he stunk too. He stunk against San Francisco, and he stunk again yesterday. And he stunk against the Jets, and he stunk right before halftime of the Seahawks game, and then in the second half for the most part against the Seahawks. Gerard Mayo has not been good. Learning curve. I'm not telling you, forget about it. He's done. He's never going to be a good head coach. All I'm telling you is he has to be much better. And he's got to start figuring things out. Gerard Mayo told us that he's not a repeat offender. Oh, I disagree, because we have seen many offenses repeated by Gerard Mayo as the head coach so far. Many, many examples of this. Why don't you tell Alex Van Pelt to run the football, Gerard? You're the head coach. I know he's the head coach of the offense, but you have a headset on, and you can talk into this thing called the microphone, and you can tell your offensive coordinator, hey, guess what? There's 1:13 left in this game. We have all 3 timeouts. We're at the opponent 12-yard line. They haven't really been able to stop us with the run game. So, Alex, I would like you to call for at least 1 or 2 run plays. You can do that as the head coach, Gerard. You have that kind of responsibility. You can pop in and tell your offensive coordinator to run the football. 4th and 1 play, 12 men on the field. Yay. Is nobody counting on the sidelines? There's nobody's job to count how many guys you have on the field. 12 men on the field on a 4th and 1. Miami's going to punt. Brutal. You don't challenge the bad spot on the Hunter Henry. I think it was Henry on the Hunter Henry catch. So you fail. You fail. It seemed like the Patriots rushed up to the line of scrimmage. Not sure why, because Nick Leverett picked up that false start penalty by moving the football. They showed like one replay of the play, and then immediately the referee was making the penalty call on Nick Leverett to the arena, to the stadium. He's making the announcement on Nick Leverett's penalty. Why did you rush up to the line of scrimmage? Why don't you take your time, take a breath, and look at the replay? Why don't you allow for multiple replays, Gerard? It was obviously a terrible spot. You should have challenged the spot. You did not challenge the spot. You rushed up to the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and short. Nick Leverett moves the football. So now instead of challenging that spot and getting a first down, because I believe you would get a first down if you challenged that spot because it was that bad, but because you did not challenge the spot and you rushed to the line of scrimmage and your center moved the football before snapping it, you get a 5-yard penalty. You just turned a 1st and 10 likelihood to a 3rd and 6, and you single-handedly killed your offense and killed the drive. Great job by Gerard Mayo. What are we doing? Challenge the spot. All the flags. How about the repeat offender? Can we get a head coach and offensive coordinator? Can we get their heads together so they understand how to handle the clock before halftime? This was a carbon copy of what happened against Seattle. If you have PTSD from the awful clock management by Alex Van Pelt and Gerard Mayo at the end of the first half versus Seattle, get ready because you saw the same thing play out yesterday. The Patriots had 2 timeouts in their pocket. They had 1:43 left on the clock. They run on a first down. They get like a 7 or 8 yard gain on the first down. You're looking at 2nd and short, right? You got like a 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3. But for some reason, Alex Van Pelt and the offense, Jacoby Brissett is going, let's huddle. Let's huddle. You just picked up 8 yards. You got 2 timeouts. You got a $1:43 on the clock. You can march down and try to score some points. You pop a 7 or 8 yard run on the first play. You have 2 options. Hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage, and throw a pass. Hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage, run the football, get a first down, call a timeout. No. There was no hurrying up to the line of scrimmage. There was no urgency. What did the Patriots do? They ran the football. They get 7 or 8 yards on that run. And then they don't snap the ball until there's 1:09 left. The Patriots wasted 34 seconds just chilling. They wasted 34 seconds so they can get into a huddle and do what? Call a pass play. I don't want to swear on these podcasts because YouTube will hurt you for that. But I could swear at least a half dozen times about this operation. You made the mistake against Seattle. You realize that you made the mistake against Seattle. Your clock management sucked. So a couple of weeks later, you do the same damn thing again. You have to pick a lane. You either try to run the clock out or you get aggressive and go and you try to score points. And I would suggest to you that since you picked up 7 or 8 yards on the first down and you're looking at like a 2nd and 2, I would actually suggest, hey, you just picked up 8 yards on the first down play call. You have 2 timeouts left. You still have 1:35 left on the clock. How about you try to score? How about you try to move the football in a game where neither team is going to score a lot of points? Why don't you try to at least effort your way down the field? No, waste 34 seconds. And then throw the football. And what do you get? An incomplete pass. And then what do? You throw the football again. You have to play the clock or play the game. You run the football, you get 8 yards, and then you waste 34 seconds to go pass. Now, guess what? Miami doesn't have to spend their timeouts, you geniuses. And thankfully, Miami couldn't get out of its own way because they should have had a field goal before halftime. Bad coaching. Bad coaching. Discipline. Keon White headbutts the quarterback. You sit him for one play. Is that discipline? Keon White headbutted the quarterback after a horse collar, and he missed one play. Single-handedly cost your defense 30 yards. 30 yards. And he sat one play and was right back out there. Are you a disciplinarian? Oh, don't worry. He started Antonio Gibson. You know what that meant? That Ramondre Stevenson would get twice as many carries as Antonio Gibson, and Ramondre Stevenson would sit out all of one series to start this game. That was his benching. Did you like the Christian Ellis 3rd and 13 defensive pass interference? I love that. Did you enjoy the 12 penalty flags for 105 yards? Those were great. To me, it just seems like Gerard Mayo doesn't process things quickly. At least not yet. And again, learning curve, I know. It's been 5 games. But it doesn't mean I don't criticize the guy after being awful yesterday. If he's great, I will say he's great. But it seems like this coaching staff, especially the offensive coordinator and your head coach, it seems like they are reacting and not being proactive. It seems like they're never ahead on something. They're always behind. And I have to question the processing. The officiating, I don't get it. The poke play makes no sense to me. Look, it's the rule apparently. I'm not saying the call was wrong, but the rule sucks. I don't know why you have to get your second full foot down when you don't have to get that on a sideline play. So you can tap your feet on the sideline, but you can't tap your feet in the end zone because your momentum is going backwards. So you're supposed to be able to control your feet better if you're going backwards than to this. What are we doing? This is what happens when the NFL makes the rule book Bible thick and they want to make it subjective. And they want to keep sprinkling these rules. Who knew that wasn't a catch yet? I thought it was a catch. I tweeted out, toe down, touchdown. He got one foot down completely. He got his toes on the other foot down, inbounds. How is that not a touchdown? And because it's not a touchdown, I would suggest the NFL should go back and fix the damn rule. Because everywhere on earth, that should be a touchdown. You get a foot down, you get your toes down, that's a touchdown. Outrageous to sit there and say, oh, he's got to get his heel down with the second foot. Why? It's like the pylon. It's like the fumbling of the pylon. You can fumble the football out of bounds, but you keep the football, and it goes back to where you fumbled it from. But when you fumble it, if it happens to bounce over the pylon in the end zone, now the other team gets the football, and it's a touchback. None of it makes any sense. And that yesterday was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It made no sense to me. Again, apparently it was the right call, but that rule stinks. You should credit Jalen Polk for a touchdown. That's a tremendous play by Jalen Polk. And the fact that he is not credited for that touchdown catch is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I didn't understand the Vidarian Lowe hold, by the way. I tweeted out a video. I didn't see one single person on that offensive line hold. And that was a pretty big call. It's not why the Patriots lost. All right, let's get to some good before I say goodbye. This has been a long one. The defense. I thought the defense was okay most of the day. They obviously gave up a hideous game-winning drive for Miami. But look, you don't have Bentley. You don't have Duggar. You don't have Peppers. Jonathan Jones sat at the beginning of the game because he's dinged up, so you're playing with Marco Wilson. It's tough to fault the defense when you give up 15 points. Right? And I know they could have kicked 2 field goals, but if you're keeping an offense to 20 points or less, you're doing your job as a defense. Now, yes, again, they could have done better in that final drive, but they played a ton of football because your offense can't stay on the field. Because your offense can't convert a third down. So I'm not going to sit here and nitpick and bitch about the defense. I'm sorry. Christian Gonzalez was awesome. Let's give Christian Gonzalez some love. Evan Lazar called him the best player on the Patriots film. Best player on the roster. film was outstanding. Gonzalez defended Tyreek Hill on 21 pass routes. Tyreek Hill had 3 catches for 55 yards. Gonzalez had an interception and a pass breakup. He could have had 2 interceptions. He was more focused, and he said this in the postgame. He was more focused on the return than tucking that football in when he picked it off in the end zone. But Gonzalez was tremendous. Hill and Waddle against Gonzalez. 7 targets, 4 catches, 45 yards. Christian Gonzalez is a freaking stud. The run game was excellent. Evan Lazar wrote, the Patriots running back duo combined for 141 yards. They also had plus 58 rushing yards over expectation. New England had it rolling with gap and zone schemes, showing some real improvements on outside zone runs. Kayshon Boutte had a great block downfield on the Mondre touchdown run. The run game was excellent. Shout out to the O-line. Shout out to the backs. Pop Douglas was good. 6 catches, 59 yards. It could have had an even bigger day if Jacoby Brissett could have thrown an accurate pass downfield because he was wide-ass open. Might have ended up with a touchdown on that play. And I also think we should give Marte Mapu some love. We should give Marte Mapu some love. He played every single snap for the defense. I mean, that's his first game. He's been out all year long, didn't play a lot last year. He goes out there and he plays every snap, and he had the green dot, and he wasn't terrible. Now, a couple hiccups. But given the circumstances, I thought, Marte Mapu, he deserves credit for the way he played yesterday. It's a good job by him. He could have completely crapped his pants, and he didn't. All right, don't forget to hit that thumbs up for us. Like, comment, and subscribe. Spotify, Apple Pods, my friends, rate and review. But those likes and those comments, that's how we drive the algorithm right out the window at YouTube.